It's over. The fatal design flaw of the shelter has been discovered. Zhuge Qingting brought a strong young man. He told Xiao Honglian that he used to be the manager of the War Dragon security company, named Wu Weiren. He also participated in the project of Wang Ximing's Lark Manor shelter. Moreover, the man named Zhang Yi also had a safe house built by him before the apocalypse. Xiao Honglian became interested upon hearing this and asked, "Are you very familiar with that Zhang Yi?" Wu Weiren said that they were not very close, just in a simple client relationship, but he was very familiar with the shelter he lived in. Xiao Honglian, who had no concept of a shelter, asked him to explain in detail. After listening to Wu Weiren's explanation, Xiao Honglian realized it turns out that the shelter was built by their company and astonishingly cost $1 billion. Wu Weiren continued, "What West Mountain Base cannot achieve, we at Radiant Prosperity Base will accomplish. With my presence, I am confident that we can take it down in one fell swoop." Xiao Honglian looked at him. "You mean you know the weaknesses of the shelter, right?" Wu Weiren nodded. "War Dragon is a world-renowned security company, so skimping on construction materials is definitely out of the question. But since I was involved in building the house, I am quite familiar with the structure and materials of the entire building. As long as we can get access to the surface of the house and use the base's large engineering vehicles, it's very possible to cut open the walls. After all, the walls are not cast as a single piece. By finding the seams and under my guidance, cutting through the exterior wall is entirely feasible." Hearing this, Xiao Honglian was secretly delighted and immediately promised a significant reward after the success of the mission. If the job is done well, he will be promoted to a team leader upon his return. Wu Weiren, excited by the news, thanked the leader for the opportunity. At this moment, Xiao Honglian couldn't help but ask, if it's possible to open a gap with professional tools, why couldn't West Mountain Base blow it open with their explosives? They have a lot of weapons. It doesn't make sense that they couldn't blow open a small shelter. Could it be that they didn't even have the chance to get close to the shelter? Are Zhang Yi and his associates that powerful? Considering this, Xiao Honglian became cautious. She picked up her phone and murmured, "Given the many unknowns and high risks of this battle, it's impossible to let Radiant Prosperity Base shoulder it alone. We must drag other bases into this as well, to share our risks and prevent them from seizing the oil refinery while we act." Xiao Honglian immediately called Wei Dinghai from Morning Dew Base. Wei Dinghai had also received considerable intelligence. They too had discovered that the downfall of West Mountain Base was linked to Zhang Yi. They knew Zhang Yi was not simple, but like Radiant Prosperity Base, they had not figured out the details and thus dared not act rashly. Xiao Honglian suggested they could collaborate, which would greatly reduce the risk. Upon hearing this, Wei Dinghai just chuckled. "Just the two of our bases might not be enough. If we are to strike, let's drag everyone into this." Xiao Honglian smiled knowingly. "It seems we are on the same page. Let's bring in Emerald Waterside Base and Snow Worship Sect, uniting four major forces to attack the shelter." Wei Dinghai also had this intention. In their eyes, Emerald Waterside Base was just a conservative force made up of steelworkers and lumberjacks, while Snow Worship Sect appeared to be a chaotic cult organization, but their strength should not be underestimated. If they were to launch a surprise attack while they were dividing their forces to attack Zhang Yi, it could be overwhelming. Emerald Waterside Base is located to the northwest of Heavenly Sea City. At this moment, in a workshop of the steel mill, a man was pinching a piece of bread in his hand, tossing it piece by piece onto the ground. On the ground lay two people chained up, panting with their tongues out like dogs, begging to be fed, and occasionally barking. Each time the man threw a piece of bread, the two would quickly scramble on the ground to fight over it. This scene brought a great sense of satisfaction to the man. The man remarked, "Director Liu, Director's son, you two are even more dog-like than actual dogs. Weren't you quite arrogant before the apocalypse?" Just then, a soldier in a green combat uniform came over. "Boss, the lady from Radiant Prosperity Base is looking for you. She says she has something important to discuss with you." Hearing this, the boss of Emerald Waterside Base, Xing Tian, stopped feeding and jumped down from the lathe. "Xiao Honglian is looking for me? What could she possibly want?" Saying this, he followed the soldier to the office. At the entrance of the workshop, a little girl was doodling on the ground with a stick. In front of her crouched a huge white wolfhound, its size probably similar to Flower when enlarged. The giant dog lay submissively in the snow, seemingly protecting the little girl. Seeing Xing Tian come out of the workshop, the big dog raised its neck and howled. Xing Tian picked up the girl tenderly like a loving father and said, "Didn't I tell you? It's too cold outside. Don't come out to play if it's not necessary. If you really need to come out, make sure to wear your hat and scarf." The girl's name is Zhou Lingling, Xing Tian's goddaughter. Her father was a close friend of Xing Tian and had passed away in an accident a few years ago, after which Xing Tian adopted her. He put down Zhou Lingling. "Play with Lele for a while. Daddy will come and play with you after finishing some work." Zhou Lingling obediently nodded her head and then continued to squat down, drawing something on the ground while talking in a babyish voice to the big dog Lele. Xing Tian walked into the office, which used to be the factory manager's office, decorated with understated luxury. Sitting in front of the monitor, he said, "I was busy in the workshop just now. Speak directly if there's something. You must have heard about the destruction of West Mountain Base. Don't you want a piece of the action too? Xing Tian said somewhat casually. We don't really mind, but the northeastern part of West Mountain borders us, so if you're not interested, just hand it over to us. Anyway, their territory is so large, none of us could swallow it whole, so it's just a matter of discussing how to divide it up. There's no need to fight over it. Xiao Honglian laughed. But there's one thing we haven't sorted out yet. There's still a powerful force on West Mountain Base's territory that we must eliminate first. Otherwise, no one will gain any advantage from West Mountain. Both my people and Wei Dinghai's have been killed by them. Hearing this, Xing Tian was surprised. Is there such a formidable person in Heavenly Sea City? Not only did they bring about the downfall of West Mountain Base, but they also dared to offend both of our major bases at the same time? Xiao Honglian nodded. It's absolutely true. We've investigated this thoroughly. They aren't a large force like our major bases, but rather a highly specialized team of just a few people. They have clear roles, and several of them are mutants with very strong abilities. Xing Tian cautiously asked. We at Emerald Waterside won't rush into action without knowing their true strength. You know, in this environment, it's not so easy to conduct cross-regional operations. We might lose up to 30% of our combat power before the battle even starts. Xiao Honglian persuaded. That's why we must unite. I've already discussed this with Morning Dew Base, and as long as you agree, our three bases can launch an attack together. Once our three bases collaborate, Snow Worship Sect must also send troops. With all four of us united, isn't West Mountain Base's territory as good as ours? The plan indeed seemed enticing, with a high chance of success. However, Xing Tian still expressed his concerns. If Chen Xinyan couldn't take them down, can we really manage it? After all, West Mountain Base has the strongest armed forces among the major bases. Xiao Honglian knew Xing Tian would ask this and confidently replied, that shelter is not impregnable. The person who was primarily responsible for building that shelter is now with us at Radiant Prosperity Base, and he has a way to breach its defenses. Once the shelter is breached, a few mutants are nothing to fear. Xing Tian pondered for a moment and also saw the potential in this idea. For major forces united, it would be impossible not to overcome a local power. Xing Tian did not give an answer on the spot, as he did not want her to think he was too eager. He then said, I'll need to hold a meeting to decide on this, and you need to provide us with detailed intelligence on that shelter. The more detailed, the better. Xiao Honglian nodded. Of course, I'll send it to you shortly. You really need to consider this carefully. I think this is purely beneficial for you at Emerald Waterside, and you definitely won't regret it. She then hung up the phone. Shortly after, Xiao Honglian sent the information. Upon receiving the new file, Xing Tian immediately opened it, and his body shook slightly. Can it really be such a coincidence? Meanwhile, in the Celestial Tribute District's Snow Worship Sect Chapel, Wei Dinghai was also in contact with Jing Yixian from Snow Worship Sect. However, Wei Dinghai's approach was forceful, more of a command than a consultation, but given the current situation, they dared not refuse Wei Dinghai's proposal. As Jing Yixian was reporting to Yuan Kongya, Grand Cleric Zhao Jianhua, leaning on a cane, walked in. He told Yuan Kongya that he had detected an immensely vast aura at Zhangyi's shelter, a surging power comparable to yours. If we could persuade him to join our sect, he might help the Snow Worship Sect achieve great success. Yuan Kongya's eyes flickered intensely as her mind raced. It's worth noting that even when meeting Ling Feng, Xiao Honglian, and Wei Dinghai, the Grand Cleric had never given such a high assessment. This implies that they might have severely underestimated Zhang Yi's strength. If so, this joint attack could be incredibly dangerous. At this point, Jing Yixian proposed a bold idea. Since Wei Dinghai is using us as cannon fodder, let's play along with them while also seeking to cooperate with Zhang Yi. If we can ally with Zhang Yi and turn against the other bases, the situation could become very interesting. Inside the shelter, Zhang Yi suddenly received a message. This left Zhang Yi extremely astonished. It was from an old classmate he hadn't been in contact with for years. He opened the message to see Xing Weinan. Zhang Yi's gaze sharpened immediately. This guy is still alive? Seems he's got some tricks up his sleeve. He focused on the message from Xing Weinan, which read, Old classmate, long time no see. Zhang Yi was quite shocked to see the message. In such tense times, the sudden appearance of an old classmate was puzzling. After all, it was not the beginning of the apocalypse anymore. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment before replying to him. I'm doing all right now. Xing Tian replied almost instantly. Ha ha, it really is you. How are you still alive? I can't believe it. You've become so powerful, but your classmate isn't doing too badly either. I'm now the director of the steel mill in Heavenly Sea City. Xing Weinan's message conveyed an indescribable excitement, as if he had discovered a new continent. Zhang Yi quickly realized, there's only one steel mill in Heavenly Sea City. Isn't that the Emerald Waterside steel mill? Has he actually become the director there? Zhang Yi's expression immediately became shocked. You're the boss of Emerald Waterside Base? Xing Weinan sent a message. Typing is too slow, and you know I only finished junior high school. Let's talk over voice call. After that, Xing Weinan made a voice call. After a brief catch-up, Zhang Yi smiled lightly and said, Isn't the boss of Emerald Waterside Base called Xing Tian? Did you change your name after graduating from junior high? Xing Weinan laughed. Don't you think the name Xing Tian sounds more domineering. I changed it after becoming the boss. I felt the name Xing Weinan wasn't impressive enough. Feels much better now, right? Zhang Yi was speechless, thinking that changing to a fanciful name to boost confidence usually just shows how insecure one truly is. Zhang Yi bluntly said, Xing Weinan, let's get straight to the point. Why contact me all of a sudden? What do you want to talk about? I actually wanted to catch up with you. Back in junior high, I wasn't doing too well, unlike you who were handsome and popular with the girls, and you also had good grades. He sighed deeply, adding, who would have thought I'd have my day in the sun? Old classmate, wouldn't you agree? Zhang Yi simply smiled faintly. Isn't that just the mindset of a poor man who has suddenly become rich? However, Zhang Yi didn't plan to burst his bubble, merely stating calmly, we can catch up on old times later. I get the feeling you have another purpose today. Then let's talk business. Didn't you previously kill people from Radiant Prosperity Base and Morning Dew Base? They are now planning to band together to deal with you, and they've also called on us and the Snow Worship sect to launch a joint attack on you. You might be in trouble soon. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi was immediately shocked. He had originally planned to defend against 2 factions, but now it had become 4. This would at least double his defensive pressure. Zhang Yi calmly said, so, are you contacting me to declare war? Xing Tian burst out laughing. You've been watching too much TV. What era are you living in to still declare war? If we were going to fight, we'd definitely catch you off guard. I'm contacting you just because of our past relationship, to talk things over. Xing Tian's face showed a hint of warmth, but he still had a condescending air, as if showing off his success by helping an old classmate. We at Emerald Waterside have no grudges with you, so we can avoid this battle. However, you need to agree to sufficient terms. You'll at least need to give me 10,000 kilograms of food. Zhang Yi fell silent, wondering if his academically poor classmate thought 10,000 kilograms of food was a lot. 10,000 kilograms is just 10 tons. Who is he looking down on? Just a few shelves in his extra-dimensional space held more than 10 tons. That amount probably wouldn't even fill a truck. However, Zhang Yi still acted as if it was a difficult request. Let me think about it. The amount you're asking for is really a lot. I need some time. Xing Tian naturally wouldn't press his old classmate too hard. No problem, but you'd better give me an answer by tomorrow noon. I really don't want to meet my old classmate on the battlefield. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yi slumped on the sofa, pondering, 10 tons of supplies isn't much for me. I could give him the canned goods we retrieved from West Mountain Base, but after so many years, people change. Can I still trust him? After much consideration, Zhang Yi decided to agree for now, perhaps paying a part up front and, if they truly showed sincerity, fulfilling the rest after the matter was settled. This call provided Zhang Yi with quite a bit of useful intelligence. First, the shelter might face a joint attack from 4 major forces, and second, their attack would be implemented soon. However, Zhang Yi was still confident in the shelter's defensive capabilities. After all, none of these 4 forces had connections like Qinxinyan, who could access large-caliber bunker-buster missiles, so no matter how they attack, they should not be able to destroy the core underground 3 levels of the shelter. Moreover, their relationship with Zhang Yi hadn't reached a do-or-die point. As long as he made them perceive him as a tough nut to crack and their efforts were disproportionate to their gains, they would naturally back off. After clarifying his thoughts, Zhang Yi immediately called a meeting with everyone. When they learned they might face a joint attack from 4 major forces, everyone's faces filled with fear and tension, except for Yang Xinxin, who calmly said, I don't think the situation is as bad as it seems. Although the 4 bases appear to be allied, in reality, each has its own agenda. We only have conflicts with Radiant Prosperity and Morning Dew Base, while Snow Worship Sect and Emerald Waterside Base were just pulled in by them. Since there are no real grudges, their willingness to fight is likely wavering. Even if they do send troops, they won't really engage in a fight to the death with us. The others agreed with this view, and Uncle Yu said while folding his arms, our biggest weakness is our small number of people, which would put a lot of pressure on us in a multi-front battle, and it would be hard to withstand their relentless attacks. We can't be on alert 24 hours a day. At this moment, Zhang Yi laid out his strategy. The shelter is backed by 2 low hills, which naturally form a barrier. The large snowy cedars on the hills are soft, making it impossible for them to charge down and attack us, so we just need to guard the approximately 120 degrees of our frontal field of vision. Zhang Yi drew an arc on the map. Our firepower will also be concentrated in this position. Our goal isn't to defeat them, but to repel them, making them believe I have the power to dominate this area. After this battle, I will naturally negotiate with them to redefine the boundaries of our territories, ensuring they won't easily invade our land again. At this point, Chun Lei frowned and said, even if Emerald Waterside doesn't come, facing a joint attack from 3 forces is still a huge pressure. It's likely that our outer defenses will be breached soon, and we'll have to retreat to defend the shelter. In that case, we can only rely on the shelter's own defenses and the boss's dimensional gate, but facing such a large number of attackers, they will surely have a variety of tactics. What if they really find a weak point in the shelter, and Radiant Prosperity Base has a lot of oil and gas resources? They might use heavy machinery. No matter how strong the shelter's defenses are, it's still just a building. Can it withstand that? Also, we do not understand the capabilities of the opposing mutants. Chun-Li seemed to be suggesting a retreat, but his analysis was not without reason. After all, mutants are always the most unstable factor. However, Yangi still reassured everyone, these issues are not a problem for me, don't worry. Just then, Flower, who was lying by the window, suddenly let out a startling roar. Everyone turned to look and saw a figure slowly approaching the shelter through the snow. Without a word, Yangi had his pistol in hand. Follow me outside to check. Yangi rushed to the second floor and took out a telescope. Indeed, through the snowstorm, he saw a figure in a red robe, looking like an elderly man, struggling step by step toward them with a walking stick. Anyone wandering outside in such harsh weather could not be an ordinary person. Yangi immediately judged he must be a mutant. However, he seemed to be alone. What could his purpose be? If he dared to appear here alone, either he was very confident in his own abilities, or he believed that Zhang Yi and the others would not attack him. At that moment, Uncle Yu suddenly exclaimed, I recognize this person. I saw him back in the Uelu district. He's the Grand Cleric of the Snow Worship sect. Behind him, Shokir also said cautiously, Snow Worship sect? What are they sending someone here for now? Lu Karen also wheeled Yang Xinshin up to the second floor. Yang Xinshin analyzed, according to the intelligence, Snow Worship sect has always been at odds with the other forces. If we want to dissolve their alliance from within, Snow Worship sect could be a good entry point. Zhang Yi put down the telescope and said in a deep voice, I don't have a good impression of these cult organizations. They tend to be more paranoid and crazier than normal people. Yet Yang Xinshin laughed and said, it's not about becoming friends with them. If they can be of use, why not exploit that? Zhang Yi also agreed. Turning to Chun-Li, he said, Fatty, you go out and talk to that guy. Put on a headset, and I'll tell you what to say. Chun-Li almost peed himself with fear, pleading, boss, my ability is too weak. Isn't sending me out like sending me to my death? Zhang Yi looked at him with disdain. Your ice and snow ability is almost invincible in this environment, and I'll be covering you with a sniper rifle from behind. If he makes any suspicious move, I can take him out instantly. Seeing Zhang Yi's uncompromising gaze, Chun-Li reluctantly agreed. Zhang Yi told Chun-Li, I've turned on the voice communicator already. Go now. Don't let him get too close, lest he sees how we've set up our defenses. As Chun-Li walked out, when he neared the old man, he stopped the Grand Cleric from advancing further as instructed by Zhang Yi. The Grand Cleric smiled gently and said to Chun-Li in a humble manner, Greetings, I see a strong radiance in you. Surely you are also a powerful mutant. I am Zhao Jianhua, Grand Cleric of the Snow Worship sect, here on the order of our leader to visit Mr. Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's eyebrows furrowed slightly. He's indeed here for me. Uncle Yu also remarked, this old man's ability seems to be able to see through people's talents. He approached me once in the Uelu district, but I refused him. Later, he helped Li Jian awaken his abilities. Zhang Yi nodded and said, his ability is indeed very practical, especially when used in conjunction with their leader Yuan Kongya's blessings. It's a perfect match. Zhang Yi instructed Chun-Li to ask the other party what his purpose was. Chun-Li somewhat pompously said, our boss isn't someone you can just meet whenever you want. You can speak your piece directly. Our boss can hear everything. The Grand Cleric was somewhat surprised. This Zhang Yi is indeed cautious, even being so careful about meeting an old man like me. This increased his respect for Zhang Yi. The Grand Cleric said, I am here to deliver important intelligence to Mr. Zhang Yi. In 3 days, 3 major bases will join forces to attack your shelter. These brutal and shameless warlords attempt to destroy such a beautiful home, even harboring the intent to kill. They even tried to persuade my leader to join their ranks to attack you. However, my Snow Worship sect has always advocated for peace and love, and thus we do not wish to associate with them. Therefore, we hope to establish cooperation with Mr. Zhang Yi. After the Grand Cleric proposed a partnership, Zhang Yi's expression gradually became more animated. The situation was unfolding just as he had envisioned. The major forces were not in harmony to begin with, each harboring their own ulterior motives, simply wanting to divide up West Mountain's territory. Their so-called alliance was bound to be extremely fragile. As long as the interests aligned, they could switch sides at any time. Whether it was Emerald Waterside base or Snow Worship sect, both were looking to play both sides. As long as he saw an advantage for himself, he would not hesitate to switch allegiances. Thinking this, Zhang Yi's confidence surged. The more tenuous their alliance, the greater his chances of winning the battle. He instructed Chun-Li through the voice communicator, what then is the purpose of your visit today? Is it just to tell us that you don't want to join their attack on us? Unexpectedly, the Grand Cleric shook his head. My intent is to cooperate. But how would that be cooperation? The mission of my Snow Worship sect is love and peace, and we resolutely fight against all dark forces. Thus, our leader wishes to collaborate with Mr. Zhang Yi to counter the other factions. I feel our situations are quite similar. Those warlord forces fear our rise and are doing everything they can to suppress us. Why should we continue to live so arduously? From this perspective, our organizations are of the same kind, so I believe we should unite and resist them, standing against the hegemony of those bases. The Grand Cleric spoke logically, but Zhang Yi found it uninspiring. In essence, they were being bullied and wanted to pull him into their revenge. He had Chun-Li ask the Grand Cleric, if you want to cooperate, you need to show some sincerity. Upon hearing hearing this, the Grand Cleric smiled slightly. I have not come empty-handed this time. To show our sincerity, I have brought the most precious relic of the snow worship sect, the Frost Essence. Chun-Li stepped back half a step and hesitated to receive it. Seeing this, the Grand Cleric explained, the function of the Frost Essence is quite simple. It can stimulate a person's potential, enabling ordinary people to awaken and become mutants. For mutants, it can enhance the abilities of the gifted, making their powers stronger. Having been in Heavenly Sea City for so long, surely you've heard of this treasure? At this point, Yangi was skeptical. He never believed in a free lunch. Gaining abilities through external forces surely comes at a cost. Who would believe your scaremongering? This Frost Essence must have some unsavory side effects, right? Do you think everyone is a fool? The Grand Cleric seemed to anticipate Yangi's concerns, and he calmly stated, the Frost Essence is a sacred relic of the snow worship sect, absolutely without any side effects. This has been verified by many parties. The 4 major forces have all sought it from us, and they found no issues. Upon hearing this, Yangi was quite taken aback. All 4 bases had used it. Their sources of information were earlier, more comprehensive, and abundant than his, and they had access to advanced scientific research equipment and talent. If there were any side effects, they would surely have been discovered. With this in mind, Yangi immediately asked Yang Xinshin to pull up the data. After some work, Yang Xinshin said, there are indeed records of this. According to the documents, all 4 bases had indeed requested Frost Essence from the Snow Worship sect, and West Mountain Base even successfully awakened 2 mutants using it. According to West Mountain Base's research, this Frost Essence is actually cells from Yuan Konya herself. Inspired by this, West Mountain Base attempted to replicate the process, transplanting Lingfeng cells into others, which later resulted in the creation of the modified beings. However, Yuan Konya's cells are different from others. They do not produce any harmful substances, nor can they manipulate the recipients through the cells. The reason why the Snow Worship sect has risen so rapidly is largely due to using Frost Essence in exchange for their survival space. If this information is true, then this Frost Essence is undoubtedly a great thing. Is there really such a thing as a free lunch? Can it awaken abilities in people without them having to go through a near-death experience and also enhance the potentials of those already with abilities? He would never believe in such a miracle. Even if it existed, there would surely be hidden side effects. Zhang told Chun-Li, ask him what happens when this thing is used on ordinary people. After Chun-Li asked, the Grand Cleric replied, the effects of this item on ordinary people vary because everyone's potential is different. Most people experience only a slight effect, while a very few can awaken abilities directly through it. So, it's actually most suitable for use on mutants. As he spoke, the Grand Cleric handed the Frost Essence directly to Chun-Li, describing its preciousness while giving it away so readily. Chun-Li couldn't help but ask, you're just giving it to me like this? Aren't you afraid we won't cooperate with you? The Grand Cleric's lips curled into a sly smile. Whether we cooperate really depends on your decision, but I must say, the united attack by the major forces against your shelter is already certain. Even if you choose not to collaborate with us, if it makes you stronger and thereby depletes more of the other forces' resources, it's a win-win situation for us. Hearing this, Zhang Yi inwardly cursed. This old fox is quite the schemer. Zhang Yi then asked, so, you mean to use us to weaken the other bases? I can understand that, but what's the point of this so-called cooperation for us? It seems you're not just here for benefits. It looks like you have big ambitions. The Grand Cleric bowed slightly, his gaze icy. At the time, we will make a show of joining them in attacking your shelter, but we'll only be pretending. As soon as the major forces show any weakness, we will swiftly stab them in the back. Hearing this, Zhang Yi couldn't help but curse inwardly. Truly a group with no bottom line. Isn't this just letting us be the clam in their story, fighting the crane while they reap the benefits? And whether they choose to intervene also depends on the strength Zhang Yi and his group show. If Zhang Yi is instantly crushed by the coalition, then they would just write off the loss of 2 Frost Essences, and with the coalition's attack already certain, having one more potential ally might not be a bad thing. With this thought, Zhang Yi decided to first see the effects of the Frost Essence. He instructed Chun-Li to tell the Grand Cleric, if the so-called Frost Essence you've given us indeed works miracles, then naturally we will agree to your proposal. The Grand Cleric smiled and said, the effects will definitely surprise you. Since we have shown our sincerity, perhaps Mr. Zhang Yi would also like to show some of yours? Hearing this, Zhang Yi laughed. Isn't the fact that we are fighting the battle enough of a show of sincerity? The Grand Cleric quickly waved his hands. You misunderstand my meaning. We don't have any other material demands, only hope that you allow us to preach in your territory after we win this battle. To this, Zhang Yi had no objections. As long as it did not infringe upon his interests, they could preach however they liked. He told the Grand Cleric, as long as we can successfully repel the major forces, I can agree to your condition. At this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly had a clearer understanding. He had thought that after defeating West Mountain Base, he would become the target of everyone, but now it seemed the major forces were engaged in a complex power struggle centered around him. However, this also allowed him to understand the style of the major forces. Emerald Waterside Base is steady and cautious, not keen on expansion. Snow Worship sect appeared Care's weak but has great ambitions. Radiant Prosperity and Morning Dew Base are ambitious for expansion, often cooperating but with underlying disunity. The situation was becoming more interesting. At that moment, Chun-Lei returned to the entrance of the shelter. Boss, how should we handle this? Chun-Lei cautiously carried the small wooden box all the way, fearful that it contained a bomb. Yangi extended his hand and said, "Don't move it." Then, he immediately activated the dimensional gate, instantly absorbing the box into the alternate space. Yangi shifted his view to the alternate space, carefully examining it. Seeing no signs of anything unusual, he then felt reassured to take it out and hold it in his hand. Opening the box, he saw two spherical crystals emitting bursts of cold air, occasionally twitching slightly. Yangi murmured softly, "Could this really be Yuan Kongya's key to unlocking mutant abilities?" Thinking this, Yangi shook his head with a wry smile. Impossible. In this post-apocalyptic world, everyone is out for themselves, thinking only of their own survival. There's no way someone would altruistically help others, especially not the snow worship sect with its cult-like nature. I can't believe in them. Yet, calming down and thinking it over, the temptation of creating two new mutants with the two pieces of frost essence was hard to resist. While pondering, Yangi suddenly felt the atmosphere change around him. Everyone looked at him with intense and longing gazes, especially Yangmi, whose desire was almost spilling out of her eyes. Her existence was of the least value, essentially playing the role of a caretaker in the shelter compared to others. Yangi said lightly, "You've all just heard about the effects of this ice. It has a chance to awaken abilities in people, and all 4 major bases have used it without finding any abnormalities so far. Still, I remain skeptical. I never believe in free lunches." While speaking, Yangi observed everyone's expressions. "Don't look at me like that. You need to think carefully. Of these 2 pieces of frost essence, I will only use one at most for now, and the first person to use it is undoubtedly a guinea pig. So, whoever wants to try, raise your hand." The expressions on several women's faces showed hesitation, but Yangmi still decisively raised her hand. "I'm willing to try." Seeing this, the others also hesitantly raised their hands. Yangi smiled and nodded at Yangmi. "Since you were the first to raise your hand, it shows your determination is the strongest, so this opportunity is yours." Yangmi excitedly threw herself at Zhang. "Thank you, Zhang. This is wonderful." Yet they didn't know the so-called vote was merely a formality. The right candidate had already been decided by him. It was indeed Yangmi. If it was an experiment, it naturally made sense to minimize the potential loss by choosing someone less critical. Her volunteering simply saved him a lot of trouble. Zhang analyzed, although Emerald Waterside and Snow Worship Sect both have opportunities to exploit, we must also be prepared to face the 4 forces. In this situation, it's hard to tell if they are coming in advance to deceive us, and if they suddenly turn against us, we could be paying with our lives. After the discussion, Zhang Yi had everyone come to the medical room. For safety, Zhang Yi tied Yang Mi to the hospital bed, then opened the box to use one of the frost essences. The method of use was simple. Just place it in the middle of the forehead. The moment the frost essence touched her forehead, it suddenly grew several small tentacles that slowly spread out and seemed to drill into Yang Mi's skull, and in an instant, the entire ice seemed to merge with her. Yang Mi's gaze gradually became vacant, her eyes losing focus. The whole process took less than 2 seconds, and Yang Mi immediately fell into a deep sleep. Zhang Yi called Zhou Kir over. "Yang Mi will be under your care for the next couple of days. To prevent any accidents, administer a certain dose of sedative to her first." Zhou Kir nodded slightly jealously. Zhang Yi couldn't help but laugh. "Silly girl, you don't think I gave the frost essence to Yang Mi because I care more about her, do you? On the contrary, it's precisely because I care more about you. Think about it. We can't be 100% sure the frost essence has no side effects, and if something adverse does happen, I wouldn't want you to be harmed." Zhou Kir's worries turned to joy, looking flattered as she said, "So that's what you were thinking." Zhang Yi smiled. "In the apocalypse, one must always leave a way out for themselves. A moment of complacency can cost a life." Zhang Yi looked affectionately at Zhou Kir. "Kir, you are a doctor, which is very important to me, even more so than a mutant. But it's different for Yang Mi. She needs to prove her value desperately. That's why I chose to give the frost essence to her." After hearing Zhang Yi's explanation, Zhou Kir immediately felt enlightened, a warmth growing in her heart, realizing that all this was to protect her. She then obediently went to prepare the medication. After she left, Zhang Yi immediately dropped the smile from his face and silently returned to his bedroom. He picked up his phone and made a voice call to Xing Tian. "Zhang Yi, have you figured it out so quickly?" Zhang Yi responded, "I've figured it out, but I want to change the way we cooperate." Xing Tian immediately became cautious. "How do you plan to cooperate?" Zhang Yi said seriously, "You mentioned a quantity of food. I can give you twice as much, but you must also participate in this attack." Xing Tian laughed. "So you want me to help you fight them? You're thinking too much. Our Emerald Waterside base has always stayed out of conflicts. I can avoid fighting you, but it's impossible for me to offend those other forces." Zhang Yi interrupted him. "You've misunderstood. I'm not asking you to turn your guns around. Just bring your people and pretend to attack." Xing Tian looked puzzled. "Are you asking us to be actors? What exactly are you playing at?" Zhang Yi laughed. "Just relax. There's no enmity between us, and we're old classmates after all. I definitely won't betray betray you, and if you just perform this act, I'll give you twice the food. Are you taking this job or not? Xing Tian's eyes twinkled, feeling that such a good deal was too good to pass up, but he wondered what Zhang Yi's real motive was. Could it be a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain? But upon further thought, it seemed unlikely. Zhang Yi had no reason to betray him. With this realization, Xing Tian laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, no problem. In consideration of our old friendship, I agree to your proposal, but to show your sincerity, you need to deliver the materials to us first. Zhang Yi responded, it's impossible to give you everything up front. I can only give you 1/3 now, and the rest after the job is done. Xing Tian understood this arrangement. Then tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. at the former site of West Mountain Base. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yi continued to ponder his battle plan, which was now becoming clear. He could have chosen to have Emerald Waterside Base not deploy any troops, but to make Radiant Prosperity and Morning Dew Base lower their guard. He preferred to offer more resources. Now, he had prepared for the worst scenario. If both Snow Worship Sect and Emerald Waterside Base turned against him at the last moment, he could simply abandon the surface of the shelter and retreat to the more defensively robust underground. But if it really came to that, the opposition would surely pay a heavy price. Suddenly, a rapid knocking came from outside the door, and Zhou Qir's anxious voice called out, Zhang Yi, something's happening with Yang Mi. Zhang Yi sprang up and went to open the door, approaching the bed to see that Yang Mi indeed showed some changes. Her face was flushed, covered in sweat, and Yang Mi slowly opened her eyes. Seeing Zhang Yi, she managed to say incredulously, Zhang Yi, did I succeed? At this moment, Flower also jumped next to Yang Mi and gently lay down in front of her. After Flower paced back and forth a few times, Zhang Yi finally relaxed. A cat's intuition is hundreds of times stronger than that of humans. If there were any abnormal changes in Yang Mi, even slight fluctuations in her aura, it would notice. Could it really be that he was overthinking? Are the things verified by the 4 major bases really free of any side effects? Zhang Yi did not immediately release Yang Mi from her restraints, but leaned in to ask, do you feel any changes in your body? What ability have you awakened? Zhang Yi knew that mutants immediately become aware of their powers upon awakening. It's like a person suddenly growing an extra hand. The individual would feel its presence right away and know how to use it. Yang Mi closed her eyes to sense her new abilities, and after a while, she smiled and exclaimed, it seems I'm only destined for housework. However, she didn't feel any disappointment. She seemed quite content with her ability. Yang Mi explained, my ability is feast. Any food I prepare can help others recover their expended powers. She laughed. It's a support ability, but that's okay. Fighting was never my strong suit. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi was overjoyed. This ability was no trivial matter. With this ability, there would no longer be concerns about overusing powers during battles. Zhang Yi immediately signaled Zhou Qir to release the restraints, and Zhou Qir's eyes were full of envy. However, due to the muscle relaxants administered earlier, Yang Mi was still unable to move. Zhang Yi smiled reassuringly, rest well for now, and once you're recovered, you can show everyone your ability. Zhang Yi picked up Yang Mi and carried her to her bedroom. It appeared that the Grand Cleric had not lied. The effect of the artifact depended on the individual's potential, and awakening this ability was indeed fortunate. The next day, Zhang Yi called Xing Tian, come over now, but I've changed the meeting place to Su Family Town. Xing Tian immediately became cautious. Why change it to your territory all of a sudden? Zhang Yi laughed. Their target is me, so it's only normal for me to be cautious. You can relax. You surely don't suspect that I'd trick you, right? Xing Tian snorted coldly. Alright, let's do it your way. Zhang Yi and his group arrived early at the village entrance and waited until midday when Xing Tian finally arrived at Su Family Town with a group of his men. Indeed, their mode of transportation was quite rudimentary, consisting entirely of dog sleds. The dogs were all rather large, especially the lead one, which was nearly as big as the giant-sized Flower, likely a mutant as well. There was also a cute little girl sitting on the back of the lead dog. Upon seeing Flower on Zhang Yi's shoulder, both the cat and the dog immediately became a bit wary and started growling at each other. The girl on the dog's back quickly patted its head to calm it down. At that moment, Xing Tian burst into laughter and said, ha ha, old classmate, long time no see. Who would have thought that more than a decade after graduation, we'd meet again in such circumstances? Zhang Yi also laughed and replied, who would have thought? Indeed, I figure if we were to meet, it'd be over a drink at a reunion. But looking at your setup, you seem to be doing very well. Already a big shot in Heavenly Sea City. Xing Tian basked in the compliment, his expression quickly turning smug. You're not doing too badly yourself. Although your territory isn't large, you're still one of the powerhouses of Heavenly Sea City. Then Xing Tian sighed deeply. Who would have thought that I, who was so unremarkable at school, would have my day? It seemed like a sigh, but it was actually a boast. Xing Tian ordered his men to move the food to the sleds. Seeing that he got so much food without using any soldiers, he was very pleased. Zhang Yi, don't feel bad about the food. Cooperating with Emerald Waterside Base, I assure you it's a good deal. At this moment, Zhang Yi's tone suddenly became serious. Do you remember that fight I got into back in junior high? Xing Tian recalled. I do remember something like that. It was 5 against 1. Although you took quite a beating, the guy leading them had a few teeth knocked out by you. You were really fierce. I knew I couldn't beat 5 people back then, so I focused on the one who started the trouble. I just wanted to show him that Yangi is not someone to be bullied," Yangi said, his eyes suddenly turning fierce. "So, I agree to give you the food because I genuinely want to cooperate, but if you dare betray me, I'd rather fight to the death and drag you down with me, regardless of others. Do you understand? Old classmate, rest assured, I, Xing Tian, am all about loyalty in this world. Just wait for the good news." This assurance somewhat eased Yangi's mind. Yangi smiled and said, "That's best. Of course, I don't want us, old classmates, to end up hurting each other." After this, Xing Tian and his men turned and sprinted away. Once they had left, Yangi also called everyone back to the shelter. "Let's go back and discuss the battle plan. Uncle Yu expressed his concerns. I'm still worried. What if we lose the food and they betray us? Wouldn't that be a huge loss?" Yangi dismissively said, "Those foods are just canned goods collected from West Mountain Base. They're nothing tasty. Besides, I assure you he won't dare." Yangi spoke calmly, his expression exuding confidence. Though more than a decade had passed, a person's nature is hard to change. From a lowly figure to a leader with significant powers and authority, his mindset and wisdom aren't enough to keep him stable. Thus, his approach to everything is very conservative, always cautious, afraid to start conflicts lightly. He fears losing what he has now more than anything, so rather than opposing me, they'd likely choose a strategy that yields benefits without them having to do anything. Yangi and his group quickly returned to the shelter, and as they entered the living room, they were greeted by a familiar aroma of food, richer than usual, which immediately lifted everyone's spirits. Seeing Yangi return, Yangi excitedly approached. "Come and taste the food I made. I've mastered using my ability." Yangi showed a face of amazement. "Our star really has some skills." He then leisurely changed his clothes. Lu Karen also complimented, "Sister Yang's cooking is especially delicious today, and somehow the food seems magical. It makes one feel energized and full of vigor after eating." Upon hearing this, Yangi couldn't help but feel secretly delighted. It seemed her ability was effective not only on mutants but also on ordinary people. At that moment, he noticed Liang Yu standing aside, looking quite well. Her vitality significantly improved. Yangi was curious, "Has your food made teacher Liang not emo anymore?" Yangi said somewhat proudly, "Of course, eating the food I make not only revitalizes and sharpens the mind, but even eliminates negative physical conditions." As she spoke, Yangi brought over a bowl of porridge and handed it to Yangi, who felt obliged to accept it as everyone was watching. Still a bit cautious, he secretly gave Flower a spoonful to taste first, ensuring it really was safe before he began to eat. Indeed, the moment the porridge touched his lips, a magical energy surged through his body, sweeping away all fatigue instantly, and Yangi couldn't help but finish it in just a few bites. After everyone had their fill, Yangi went to the kitchen to ask Yangmi, "Do you know if your ability-infused food can be stored? I mean, does the effectiveness of the food diminish over time?" Yangmi was also unsure. "I'm not clear on that, but it does seem like the effects are better when it's freshly made." Yangi wasn't really worried about storage issues. As long as the food was placed into the alternate space right after being made, it would stay fresh when taken out. He told Yangmi, "Starting today, you should produce food that's easy to carry, like energy bars." Thinking about this, Yangi was inwardly thrilled. If he could fill the space with such food, wouldn't that solve the problem of energy depletion? The main force of Radiant Prosperity Base had arrived near the shelter, and Xiao Honglian took out the communication device, contacting each of the leaders of the other forces one by one, instructing them to arrive at the designated place at the agreed time. At that moment, Xiao Honglian's deputy, Zhuge Qingting, expressed his concern. "When we left this morning, I noticed the flagpole at the entrance of the base had fallen. I've been feeling like it's a bad omen." Xiao Honglian responded dismissively, "I didn't realize you were so superstitious." Zhuge Qingting shook his head. "It's not that I'm superstitious, it's just that this feeling has been getting stronger. After all, since the apocalypse, this is the first time we have mobilized on such a large scale. I feel that assembling so much military force has affected the foundation of our Radiant Prosperity Base. I mean, if we lose this battle, the consequences might be more than we can handle." Xiao Honglian didn't hesitate and spoke in a tone that brooked no argument. "We will definitely win this battle. The downfall of West Mountain Base was mainly due to the River South Domain missile, not because of him." Zhang a mere modified villa housing a handful of people, even if they are all mutants, what of it? With the 4 of us acting together, defeating them will be as easy as flipping our hands. You're still too young, lad. Zhuge Qingting fell silent for a moment. "It's not our own capabilities I worry about, it's the reliability of the other groups." Hearing this, Xiao Honglian laughed. "Relying on them is indeed impossible. Those guys are all bloodthirsty scum. Just let them know Zhang Yi is a big fat piece of meat, and they will naturally fight desperately for the juiciest bite. After all, who can resist a fat and weak lamb? After we take down Zhang Yi, we'll divide the spoils based on strength, and our Radiant Prosperity Base will undoubtedly be the biggest winner." Hearing this, Zhuge Qingting nodded. "You're right. From any perspective, we have no possibility of failure." Xiao Honglian said with a laugh, "You're just too nervous. Haven't seen enough big scenes. After our triumph, we'll celebrate fight properly. Meanwhile, in the shelter, Xing Tian had informed Zhang Yi of the plan to attack at 2 p.m. and preparations for the battle were made early in the morning. Zhang Yi assigned Liang Yu, Uncle Yu, Chun Lei, and Flower to the front line while he stayed back at the shelter. Zhang Yi noted that his powers were not offensive. Staying inside the shelter would allow him to provide remote support using the dimensional gate. Today, Liang Yu's demeanor was different from previous days. After all, in her eyes, it was Radiant Prosperity Base that had killed her students, making today an excellent opportunity for revenge. At that moment, Zhang Yi handed over the treasured sword Dragon's Roar to Liang Yu. He added, "Remember to return it after the fight." After arranging for a few members to hold the front line, Zhang Yi returned to the shelter to continue organizing tasks. Here, prepare the medical aid. Yang Mi, focus on making food. Then, Zhang Yi looked towards Yang Xinxin. You'll control the front line's firepower. Be careful. Some of those people are our allies. You must follow my commands when shooting. Yang Xinxin's smile was uncontrollable. Her cheeks flushed with excitement as she said, "Finally, I can personally slay the enemy. I'll prove to brother that I, Yang Xinxin, will be your best helper." After assigning everyone their tasks, Zhang Yi told them, "Just focus on your respective duties. The enemy could attack at any moment. Don't be too nervous. This could be a prolonged battle. If the string is too tightly wound, it might snap more easily." After speaking, Zhang Yi went up alone to the second floor of the shelter. This time, Zhang Yi didn't stop at the second floor balcony, but went directly to the third floor, which offered a higher vantage point and a better view. This was the highest point of the shelter, undoubtedly an excellent sniping spot for Zhang Yi. Following the battle with West Mountain Base, the area in front of Lark Manor was nearly flattened, providing a very clear field of view. Zhang Yi took out his sniper rifle and began loading bullets unhurriedly. Once ready, Zhang Yi activated the smart voice system to open the window and simultaneously open the dimensional gate to block the space in front of the window. Now, all that was left was to wait for the prey to appear. Zhang Yi understood that he was not a combatant, so he was clear about his two tasks. The first was to kill as many of the enemy's ordinary soldiers as possible before the battle began, since mutants are harder to kill, and losing many soldiers would surely affect the enemy's morale. The second task for Zhang Yi was to maximize the advantages of the dimensional gate, supporting those on the front line in defense. If they could not hold back the enemy's assault, he would cover their retreat back to the shelter. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Yi caught some movement on the snowy field through his tactical scope and immediately alerted everyone, "Attention all, the enemy has started moving." In the scope, a dozen armored vehicles surged forward, belonging to Morning Dew Base's convoy. Wei Dinghai ordered, "It seems the others haven't positioned themselves yet. Let's stop here and occupy a tactical position. We just need our artillery within range. No need to get too close." His deputy, Qin Jingguan, holding binoculars, remarked, "This guy actually uses ice as defensive fortifications. Quite clever. Thinking these can stop our firepower is a pipe dream. With these ice constructs around, it actually becomes an environmental advantage for your frost abilities, something they definitely didn't anticipate." Wei Dinghai smiled easily. "This is meant to be a unilateral crushing, not even a war. However, I am curious about their people. If they don't get killed this time, I might consider recruiting them." Qin Jingguan complimented, "That would be a great honor for them." Wei Dinghai's convoy stopped, and the lead vehicles quickly positioned themselves for a long-range artillery strike to blow through the thick ice defenses. Just then, a bullet flew swiftly, piercing through the head of a soldier on one of the vehicles. The soldiers beside the vehicle immediately ducked and shouted into their communication devices, "We're under attack." But in the next second, another soldier's chest was pierced through. Wei Dinghai immediately ordered everyone to be on alert and search for the sniper. Although Morning Dew Base's soldiers weren't as professionally trained as those from West Mountain Base, many were ex-mercenaries or professional bodyguards. Using their vehicles for cover, they cautiously sought the hidden enemy, yet more soldiers were struck down, one by one. Within moments, the soldiers of Morning Dew Base almost turned into live targets. The continuous fall of soldiers caught Morning Dew Base off guard. An experienced soldier, judging from the direction of the gunshots, tried to pinpoint the enemy's hidden position, but their scopes could not see as far as 3.5 kilometers away. All that was visible was a vast expanse of white. So where were the bullets coming from? While still confused, a loud bang sounded, and he too was suddenly shot through the forehead. This caused Wei Dinghai to panic. Judging by the power, it must have been a heavy sniper rifle. The continuous firing suggested that the shooter was a physically strong mutant. Seeing soldier after soldier fall, Wei Dinghai couldn't sit still any longer, furiously exclaiming, "Using my men as targets, this is too arrogant." As he spoke, Wei Dinghai activated his ability, and a white mist of snow fog immediately surrounded the convoy. Zhang Yi stopped what he was doing, wondering, could this be the same kind of ice ability as Chun Lei's? Zhang Yi was not at all panicked. He just needed to keep aiming and wait for the smoke to dissipate. After all, they were the ones attacking him. As soon as the enemy showed the slightest flaw, Zhang Yi could instantly snipe them. Wei Dinghai, in the convoy, knew well that using his ability to block the enemy's line of sight was not a sustainable strategy, as maintaining his ability would drain his energy. He immediately said to Chen Jingwan beside him, quickly find that hidden sniper. Chen Jingwan pointed ahead. The gunshots came from the direction of the shelter. Could the bullets be coming from the shelter? Hearing this, Wei Dinghai's pupils shrank sharply. They were at least 5 kilometers away from the shelter. How is this possible? Moments later, Wei Dinghai made a decisive decision. Everyone, retreat immediately. The other forces haven't arrived yet, and there's no need to make unnecessary sacrifices. Let's move out of his shooting range. Everyone quickly got into their vehicles to retreat, with Wei Dinghai continuing to maintain the snow mist. However, turning vehicles around in the snow was inevitably going to expose some of them. With a loud bang, a vehicle's tire was instantly blown out. The destroyed tire greatly affected the modified tracks, and the vehicle quickly became immobile. The soldiers inside became frantic. It's over. Once the snow mist clears, we'll definitely become sitting ducks. In fear, they cried out, "Don't leave us behind. Save us." Wei Dinghai was reluctant to abandon them outright. He ordered the convoy to slow down to give the soldiers on the damaged vehicle a chance to catch up. The convoy slowed, but Wei Dinghai increased the coverage of the blizzard. Under these conditions and visibility, it would be very difficult for Zhang Yi to aim accurately. However, that wasn't much of an issue. Even though visibility was obstructed, Zhang Yi could estimate their approximate location, so he simply aimed at the densest part of the snow mist and started firing blindly. He had plenty of ammunition, so even if only 1 in 10 shots hit, it was still worth it. Plus, there was no need to worry about running out of powers, as Yang Mi had prepared ample food with powers. His current task was to exert maximum deterrence on the approaching enemy before the battle. They could never have imagined that a heavy sniper could fire so intensively. They even thought there might be dozens of snipers. In a blink of an eye, several more soldiers fell. Wei Dinghai, sitting in the vehicle listening to the screams outside, his expression gradually darkened. He ordered again, "Don't bother with the wounded. Everyone retreat immediately." He knew that in such conditions, the likelihood of surviving a gunshot wound, regardless of where one was hit, was extremely low. Chen Jingwan could no longer sit by as the situation deteriorated, realizing that his elite troops might be completely wiped out. With that thought, he decided to activate his own ability. Like an agile monkey, he quickly climbed to the top of a vehicle and then leapt to the back of the convoy. In the next second, his body inflated like a balloon, transforming into a giant several meters tall. A bullet hit his chest, but it didn't penetrate his defenses, though the real pain made him cry out. He could feel the unusual power of the bullet. His ability could withstand most physical attacks, but Zhang Yi's bullets were proving too much for him. Zhang Yi, unaware that a mutant in the mist had stopped a bullet, kept up his relentless firing. Whenever a gun barrel overheated, he switched to another. A few minutes later, the convoy from Morning Dew Base gradually disappeared from Zhang Yi's sight. Zhang Yi's lips curled into a smile. It seemed his plan to drive them away had worked. The next wave of attack would probably wait until the main forces gathered, but no matter how many more come, they should be prepared to face a barrage of my sniping. At this time, Chun Lei and the others also heard the gunfire stop, and he quickly inquired about the situation. Zhang Yi calmly responded, "I took down a few dozen of them, and the rest got scared off. They're probably waiting for the main forces to regroup before they attack again." Everyone was shocked by this, and Chun Lei couldn't help but praise in astonishment. "You took down dozens without even seeing them, boss. That's pretty incredible." Yet, Zhang Yi remained utterly calm and said, "What's so surprising about that? It's just basic operation." However, Zhang Yi still cautiously told them, "Long-range attacks are indeed my strong suit, but if my sniper defense line is breached, it will be up to you all to hold them off. If they get close enough, I can take out a few mutants with divine might." Chun Lei chuckled, "Then it's up to them to see if they can break through the boss's divine sniping." Back at a safe distance, Wei Dinghai from Morning Dew Base immediately ordered a damage assessment. The report made Wei Dinghai's face turn very sour. 1 armored vehicle had been abandoned, and 3 others were severely damaged, likely unable to return to the base. 2 squad leaders were injured, and 35 soldiers had been killed. Wei Dinghai gritted his teeth, unable to believe that he had already lost a platoon without even seeing the outskirts of the shelter. Could it be that the person with the heavy sniper rifle has reached the terrifying Epsilon level of ability? Upon reflection, however, that person might not be that formidable. If his long-range attack is so powerful, then his close combat abilities must be a weakness. To excel in one area typically means having shortcomings in others. It's impossible for someone to be a hexagonal warrior with no weaknesses. With this in mind, Wei Dinghai immediately issued a command. "In that case, if we can get close enough, we can use his visual blind spots to dodge his shots. Once we break into the shelter, that sniper will be useless to me." At that moment, Chen Jingwan approached, still looking somewhat pained. He advised Wei Dinghai with a worried expression, "Boss, that sniper is too terrifying. We absolutely must not attempt a frontal assault again. My suggestion is to take a longer detour if necessary to avoid him as much as possible." Chen Jingwan pulled out a tablet and pointed to a location. "We could start from here. There are plenty of coverings on this side to dodge sniper shots." Wei Dinghai nodded. "That's a good spot, but let's not rush. Let's find a place to hide for now." This left Chen Jingwan somewhat puzzled. Weren't we just discovered? What's the point of hiding fighting now. Wei Dinghai smirked mischievously. We've just suffered a big loss. We must let them also experience what it's like to be hunted. Indeed, a few minutes later, Radiant Prosperity Base's convoy arrived from another direction. Upon entering the shooting range, they too were subjected to Zhang Yi's frenzied hunting. Having learned from the first encounter, Zhang Yi decided to shoot the tires first before killing the drivers. Xiao Honglian immediately organized a counterattack. In the Radiant Prosperity Base convoy, a soldier transformed into a giant werewolf, using his arms to block the incoming bullets. Zhang Yi, watching this scene through his scope, couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Finally, a worthy opponent has arrived. However, when Zhang Yi saw him, the werewolf also spotted Zhang Yi. His pupils contracted in surprise. The sniper was so far away. Zhang Yi was unapologetic. You like catching bullets, so let's give you your fill. Zhang Yi continued firing steadily, expending only some bullets and energy, while the opponent was forced to endure the barrage. Soon, the werewolf began to show signs of fatigue, his claws trembling slightly. Instead of growing angry, he stepped back a few steps, and a sound came from the convoy, ready now. At that moment, a long cannon barrel slowly rose, and with a loud boom, a shell was fired towards the shelter. The shell reached in front of Zhang Yi in an instant. The next second, the shell entered silently, like a needle into water, making no sound. The puzzled gunner on the vehicle wondered, was that a dud? While still hesitating, a bullet passed directly through his chest. Everyone was terrified by this grisly scene, and Xiao Honglian ordered a counterattack. Suddenly, 5 heavy artillery vehicles fired simultaneously, and shells howled towards the loft where Zhang Yi was. But seconds later, the shells disappeared as if vanishing into thin air, making no sound. Moments later, the shells sped back along their original paths. Everyone turned pale. Their convoy was too concentrated, and if the shells fell, the casualties would be severe. At that moment, the werewolf roared, "Leave it to me." He leapt into the air and deflected the shells with his hands, merely altering their trajectory slightly. The shells still fell around the convoy, and a massive explosion sent a blizzard into the sky. The werewolf crouched, trembling, and a trickle of blood escaped his lips. Seeing the dire situation, Xiao Honglian decisively shouted, "Everyone retreat." The soldiers reacted swiftly, throwing numerous smoke grenades. Thick smoke quickly rose, obscuring the surroundings. Zhang Yi remained calm, continuing to fire with his sniper rifle, shooting as chance would have it. This approach caused heavy losses to Radiant Prosperity Base. Radiant Prosperity Base's forces finally retreated to a safe distance. Xiao Honglian was pondering, this person could actually deflect artillery fire and had superlative sniping skills. Although it's uncertain whether these abilities belong to the same person, even if they were divided between 2 people, they would still represent a terrifying force. Xiao Honglian looked at her injured subordinates with a serious face. A whole elite unit of Radiant Prosperity Base had been routed like this. I finally understand why they could withstand West Mountain Base's assault for a month. At this moment, Zhuge Qingting came up to the vehicle to ask for instructions. Leader, what should we do next? It seems there is a great risk in a frontal assault now. We are still 7 kilometers away from the villa area, and we can't provide fire cover along the way, especially since they can deflect our attacks. Xiao Honglian glanced at him and said calmly, "Don't worry, they only have a few people. They can't sustain a long fight. Our 4 forces together have thousands of soldiers. We can simply wear them down. But let's not advance any further for now. Let the others experience it first and deplete that sniper's ability." Zhuge Qingting nodded in understanding. Understood. I'll have everyone rest for now. At that moment, Xiao Honglian picked up the satellite phone to call Wei Dinghai. "Hey, brother Wei, where are you guys now?" Wei Dinghai responded indifferently, "We'll be there in a bit." Xiao Honglian's lips twitched into a smirk. What a coincidence. We'll also be there in a bit.